Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy T for 365 Horror, and this is a horror movie discovery channel. I am just here to put as many horror movies on your watch list as possible. And today we're going to be looking at 9 brand new releases for you guys to watch and stream. So let's get into it right now. Now we are going to get into the video, but before we do, I've got to remind you guys to please like and subscribe if you like this content. Also, this video is best watched with the movie tracker. I like to use Letterboxd. It's just the easiest way to keep track of the movies that you've seen and want to see. I also want to touch on the availability of these titles, as I have personally went to each one of the services and verified that these movies are available. And if you are having trouble seeing them, there is probably one of 2 reasons. One, you might be region locked. And the other reason is that if you are using any of the alternative media sites or any of the free stuff, a lot of these movies just came out yesterday, so they really won't show up on those sites for a couple days. And lastly, this is just a preview. These are not reviews and recommendations. As always, I've added chapters and timestamps in the description, so if you don't like any of my trailer reactions or any of the movies I've picked, you're always free to skip to the next one. And if you did want some reviews and recommendations, then I suggest you watch my new movie review series, my You Should Watch series, or any of my movie list series. This here is just a little something for the diehards like me that are always looking for something new to watch. And with that, let's get right to it. So the first movie we're going to take a look at this week is a straight horror named Best Wishes to All. And this movie is available on Shudder. A young woman visits her grandparents on a break from university. While she's there, she discovers a dark secret about them and potentially herself. It is directed by Yuta Shimotsu. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Best Wishes to All, this one is shaping up to be a pretty decent, kind of weird elderly horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares, things did look pretty solid. And I really liked a lot of the unsettling imagery around the grandfather. I think he was just giving off a good, kind of weird, creepy vibe, especially with some of the actions we saw him take in the trailer. Now, as for the gore, I'm not really sure exactly how far they're going to go with it, but based off some of the torture scenes we saw and some of the kind of stuff we saw the grandfather going through, I'm sure we're going to see some visceral stuff out of the film. And based on some of that stuff, it just doesn't look like it's going to hold back too much. Now, production-wise, this one looks fairly big budget. The sound design was already creepy right from the trailer, and the performances look solid all around. The story also encompasses one of those setups that I always enjoy, which is like younger kids going off to their grandparents only to find out that something is like off or weird or wrong. And I felt that the film built a nice mystery right off the jump because you're just wondering exactly what's going on with the grandfather and why. But before we finish with this movie, there is one thing to note, and that is that this does look like a subtitled film, so that will matter depending on your preferences. But overall, Best Wishes looks decently creepy with some painful torture and hopefully some good gore. And I think it's earned a regular spot on my watch list.
この人のおかげで私たちの幸せが成り立ってるの。え？
Next movie we're going to take a look at is another straight horror named Bleeding. And this movie is available on Screambox and Amazon Prime.
This is really gonna hurt.
God! God!
In a world where vampire blood is harvested as a drug, 2 desperate teenagers on the run from a vicious dealer break into an empty house and find a sleeping girl locked inside. It is directed by Andrew Bell. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Bleeding, this one looks like more of a cerebral, weird take on a vampire horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares of the film, I just don't think we're going to get much of either. Because this one looks like it's going to lean more into the kind of atmosphere and story instead of focusing on the traditional horror beats. Now, since this is a vampire flick, I'm sure there's definitely going to be some blood, and in some scenes we see a lot of it. I also picked up on some situations where it's just like a raw kind of drug addict story, so it could bring some like kind of grim, harsh realities along with that. Now, the production for this film looks good. It looks like it has a pretty good budget, and it's definitely a few steps above B-movie. And from a lot of the glimpses that we get from the trailer, it looks like it has a lot of kind of just bigger, raw, emotional moments. And hopefully, because they seem to be acted well, they'll hit hard. Next, we're going to talk about the premise, and there's a few interesting things going on with this one. It's basically like an addiction story, but the addictive substance is vampire blood. It's not the most groundbreaking concept, but if they really lean into the kind of grit and emotional weight of the idea, I think they could give us just a little bit of a different angle on the genre. Now, overall, Bleeding does look like something different. And even though it's clearly more of a heavy, narrative-driven watch, I think this one is going to earn a regular spot on my watch list.
I know that I haven't been the best mom, and I miss your brother so much. And now I'm worried about you too. Your uncle said you're selling drugs. I can't lose you too.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a drama horror mystery named The Moor. And this movie's available on Apple TV and Prime Video. Claire is approached by the father of her murdered childhood friend to help investigate the haunted moor he believes is his son's final resting place. It is directed by Chris Cronin. Okay, so after watching the trailer for The Moor, this one looks like a pretty solid folk horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares, nothing in the film really looks overt. It looks like another one that's gonna kind of lean on atmosphere and vibes, but if it's something that they execute correctly, then I'm all for it. Unfortunately, I didn't see much gore in the trailer, so I think the gorehounds are out of luck on this one. That being said, the production for the film does look strong, and the cinematography has this misty, moody vibe going on. Mixed with character performances which are grounded and serious, I feel like it'll help the tone of the film. I also thought that the story seemed interesting in that kind of horror movie serial killer vibe where they're trying to like uncover a good mystery. And a haunted moor is a creepy setting all on its own. So I'm expecting a more slower burn kind of story with some tension. Overall, The Moor looks like a decent folk horror with an eerie vibe, and that's going to earn it a regular spot on my watch list.
There's a child.
Do you really think Danny's up there on the moor?
She's hiding.
There is something to find here. I know there is.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a horror thriller named The Other. And this movie is available on Google Play, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime.
I love you.
Unable to conceive, a young couple seeks to build a family with a young orphan, which is the survivor of a tragic childhood. But their act of love turns to horror when they realize the violence in their foster's past has returned to destroy the new family. It is directed by Paul Etheridge. Okay, after watching the trailer for The Other, this one looks like a decent supernatural orphan horror. And to be completely honest, I don't know if orphan horror is a real subgenre, but at this point, I think it should be. Now, when it comes to the creeps and scares, things look alright. We get some solid glimpses of the entity, and a few of the possession moments look like they give one of the characters just like a creepy little twist. As for the gore, this one looks pretty bloody. And while it's not giving splatterfest or gore porn vibes, it looks like some of the blood we see in the visions could mean that it's not totally tame either. The production and performances both look good, and this definitely feels like a bigger budget film. I know some people kind of question why I always mention the production value, but some people just don't like B films. Now, story-wise, this one looks run-of-the-mill, but it does have a dark little twist that gives the film a little bit of edge, so hopefully they really lean into that. Overall, The Others looks like a decent watch with some okay creeps and a little bit of tension, so I think this one's going to get a regular spot on my watch list.
She speak?
We don't know yet. She's been through a lot. She just needs a family.
Welcome home.
I found out what happened to your new little girl.
Mom, no.
Something's not right in the house.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a horror mystery thriller named The Dogs. And this movie is available on Prime Video.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Hunted by his dad, Cameron and his mom move into an isolated farmhouse where Cameron sees and hears things that aren't possible. He begins to question everything and must uncover the secrets before they tear him apart. It is directed by Valerie Buhagiar. Okay, so after watching the trailer for The Dogs, this one looks like a pretty good supernatural animal horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares, it actually looks pretty good. Because in the film, you've got your standard kind of supernatural tension, but you also got the potential for like a bunch of jump scares with just these like rabid barking dogs. And I kind of feel like that alone could give us a few solid scary moments. Now, normally I tend to think that like a sharp dog bark or a cat freaking out is kind of a cheap jump scare, but since this is an actual kind of supernatural movie about the dogs, they may actually fit and work here. And whether the dogs and their barking ends up being like a cheap trick or a legit scare tactic, I guess we're just going to have to watch to see. Now, gore-wise, the trailer also doesn't really show much in this one, but I do think, again, we have good potential for some dog attacks, unless the dogs are just kind of a supernatural element in the boy's mind. I really wouldn't go into this one expecting a gore fest, though. This is another movie where the production looks good and the performances seem solid. Now, sure, you've got kind of a run-of-the-mill premise where you've got a spirit from beyond the grave trying to solve something or fulfill something, but I do like the fact that they give us a little bit of a different take on it with this supernatural animal angle, and I think that the introduction of it could give us something a little more interesting. So I really don't think that The Dogs looks too bad at all, and I know it's going to have some pretty good jump scares, even if they're cheesy or cheap, so I think this one's going to get a regular spot on my watch list.
Have you heard him yet?
Heard what?
The dogs.
There's nothing out here.
Mom! Stop! No!
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a horror mystery thriller named Clown in a Cornfield. And this movie's available on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Google Play. A fading Midwestern town in which Frendo the Clown, a symbol of bygone success, reemerges as a terrifying scourge. It is directed by Eli Craig. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Clown in a Cornfield, this one looks like a solid whodunit clown slasher. Now, as far as the creeps and scares, I didn't see a lot of creepy moments, but I did see a good amount of jump scares, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of that kind of escape the killer tension. Now, gore-wise, this one looks like a bloody slasher for sure. And some of the scenes really tease a good variety kills, so if you're someone who's into blood, hopefully this one delivers. Now, production-wise, this was definitely a bigger theater film with a bigger budget, which is a win for those who aren't really into the whole B-movie aesthetic. And the acting looks strong too, and it also looks like it's got that really good kind of circle of friends dynamic, which always works well in a slasher. Now, the premise itself seems super run-of-the-mill, so I think this one's going to live and die on the gore, the humor, and exactly how well the mystery plays out. And while it doesn't look like it's breaking new ground, it still looks like a pretty bloody good time. So I think Clown in a Cornfield is shaping up to be a good, gory, circle of friends slasher. So I think that's going to earn it a regular to maybe slightly higher spot on my watch list.
Smile, silly girl. You're about to become a sensation.
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a horror thriller named The Matriarch. And this movie's available on Apple TV and Amazon Prime. A 13-year-old girl kills her addict mother's boyfriend in self-defense and is subsequently terrorized by her own mother. It is directed by Jaden Crichton. Okay, so after watching the trailer for The Matriarch, this one looks like a pretty gripping survival horror. Now, will this movie have a ton of creeps? Probably not, but I think it's going to be full of tons of escape tension and probably a good dose of jump scares. As for the gore, I am expecting some raw, drug addict style brutality. And even though the movie doesn't look like it's going to have a high body count, it looks like what we will get is intense and messy. When it comes to the production for the film, it looks clean and well done. And as for the acting, when you just see parts with the mother, she just looks wild and unhinged in the best way. Honestly, she just looks strung out, dangerous, and kind of terrifying, to be honest. Now, the premise does follow that familiar kind of trapped in a house style that you see from Don't Breathe, except for I feel like it comes with one important and good twist, that it's the child's mother who is doing the terrorizing. And that adds a real psychological element to the whole thing, which leaves me wondering exactly what pushes this mother over the edge. Personally, I'm thinking it's probably some sort of drugged out psychosis. Now, The Matriarch doesn't look like it's exactly breaking any new ground, but it does have this really high level of tension, along with this just white knuckle fight for survival. And I think that this one's going to get a regular to just a little bit of a higher spot on my watch list.
The Nelbo Police Department, how can I help?
My mum is trying to kill me.
Do you have a safe place to hide? Missy, are you still there? Missy?
Next movie we're going to take a look at is a straight horror movie named Zombies of the Third Reich. And this movie's available on YouTube Movies, Apple TV, and Prime Video. A special team of Allied forces are sent to infiltrate a Nazi-occupied bunker. When they arrive, they discover the scientific experiments that have been taking place there have turned everyone into superhuman, flesh-eating zombies. It is directed by David Gregory. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Zombies of the Third Reich, this one looks like a pretty subpar Nazi zombie horror. When it comes to the creeps and scares, I just really didn't see much. And maybe we will get a few jump scares, but honestly, it just doesn't look like it's trying too hard in that department. Now, gore-wise, I'm kind of on the fence with this one, because while the zombies look gross and decayed, a lot of it just really looked like prosthetics. And really, there's just not a lot of kind of raw gore that we get to see in this trailer. And honestly, while I'm sure there'll be some, nothing just really jumped out at me as being intense or graphic. Also, when it comes to the production for this one, it's definitely giving off some B-movie vibes. The acting seems passable, but the gunfire felt a little bit off, just the sound effects of it, and even it just looked a little bit more CGI than I care for, especially in this kind of an almost action horror. And honestly, it kind of undercuts the grittiness that you'd really want from this kind of Nazi zombie setup. Story-wise, this film honestly feels as generic as it gets. And even the Nazi zombie element just doesn't feel like it's bringing anything new to the table. And unless the full film delivers on a lot more gore or does something surprising, I just don't think that this one's going to stand out. Now, honestly, Zombies of the Third Reich didn't really look that good or catch my eye at all. So I think, unfortunately, this one's going to get a lower to maybe even a skip on my watch list.
Would this feel like a suicide mission to anyone else?
We found information suggesting the Nazis were using this facility for some sort of bioweapon. The hell was that?
What's down there? Monsters.
All right, guys, last movie we're going to take a look at this week is a horror thriller named Bark. And this movie's available on Google Play, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime.
Tell me why I'm here.
Nolan Bentley awakens bound to a tree in a distant forest, memory blank. As time ticks away, a cryptic figure emerges. Facing his inner demons, Nolan struggles to escape his dire predicament and unravel the mystery of his surroundings. It is directed by Mark Scholerman. Okay, so after watching the trailer for Bark, this one looks like a middle-of-the-road survival horror. Now, when it comes to the creeps and scares, the movie may give us some light chills because it does have that kind of setting. There's a lot of dark moments where we hear something kind of stalking him, so there could be some creepiness there. But other than that, nothing really stood out for scary. Gore-wise, I also just didn't see a lot in the trailer, and to be honest, this seems like a little bit more of kind of a solo survival story. Like, you do see some other, like one other character, and you hear animals, but you just don't see much. So maybe we'll get some painful survival moments like, you know, breaking his thumb to get out of like the restraints or something like that, but I just don't see much more than that. The production for this one also just didn't look too bad. The forest setting is definitely eerie and atmospheric, and overall it just looked like it had a pretty good high visual quality. That being said, the acting did come off just a little bit overdone in parts, so it did feel just a little bit unnatural and hokey. Now, when it comes to the premise for this film, it's actually one of the more interesting parts. There's a couple of decent mysteries building, like who the guy is and what he did to deserve to be out there, and exactly what is coming for him. There's also some slightly weird kind of parts and vibes to this trailer, so I think it could take a strange turn or have kind of a strange, like, cerebral side element to it, which I'm always down for because I do like weird if it's done right. While Bark looks alright, it's just nothing too exciting, and I think the mystery is going to save it even from being a skip. And I think this one's going to get a little bit of a lower spot on my watch list.
Help! Help!
Well, guys, that's it for me for another week and another episode of brand new releases for you guys to watch and stream. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did find a couple of gems for your watch list, please leave me a like and subscribe. So if I had to make a couple of picks this week, the first pick I'm going to make is Clown in a Cornfield. I always like to check out kind of these bigger releases and see exactly what warranted, you know, such a big budget and a main theater release. So I do like to kind of take those ones in first. And to be completely honest, it does look like it has a good budget. The acting looks really good. I liked how it looked like it had a decent variety of kills that were bloody. It just looks like a good circle of friends vibe, a fun time, and that's going to be my first pick of the week. And my second pick of the week, as always, is going to be kind of a dual pick, or I should just say 3 picks, but I don't know. But anyways, my second pick of the week is probably going to be The Matriarch, just because I feel like we have a really heavily intense kind of movie there, something akin to, like I said, Don't Breathe. A lot of the situations look tense. I'm interested to see what turns a mother against her own daughter. Like, is it paranoia? Is it a drug-filled psychosis? Did the daughter maybe do something or ruin something? I don't know. There's just a little bit of a kind of interest there. And I don't know, what lengths is a mother going to go to kill her child? It's just something that, I don't know, I think they call it matricide. You just don't, or is that when children kill their parents? I don't remember, but either, no, that's patricide. Anyways, I don't know exactly what it's called when a mother kills her child, but it's still something totally weird, and I am interested to see exactly what kicks and spurns that off. And for my third pick of the week, just a little small pick, and really this pick is just for the eclectic part of me, and that is the film Bleeding. And I know it doesn't look like the best film. I know there's films that, you know, if you're into other things, kind of look a little bit better on this list, but I just thought it looked weird, and like I said, it just has this very ethereal quality to the whole trailer and exactly what's going on, and just some of the gritty kind of addiction scenes and overdoses, and you know, like it just he's dealing vampire blood, and then maybe he runs into a vampire. I don't know. I am kind of interested to see if it's like weird dumb or if it's gonna be like weird good and like, whoa, what did I just watch there? So that one might get turned off if it ends up being like boring, because it does look like it could be boring, but I have high hopes that that's gonna be another good one, and it is my third pick of the week. Well, guys, that's it for me for real this time, as I have got a ton of movies to watch. If you made it this far into the video, thank you. I appreciate you. I genuinely appreciate all of your guys' support. I hope you've been well and taking care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.